Representative James Lankford announced Monday he will run for the Senate seat being vacated by Senator Tom Coburn. Last Thursday, Coburn said he'll be leaving his post in Washington after the current congressional session is over, foregoing the final 2 years of his term. Lankford has been in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2011. During his first term, he secured a leadership position as the chairman of the Republican Policy Committee. He's been an active chairman of the House Oversight Subcommittee. The Oklahoma City politician spoke about his plans for the Senate race Monday afternoon at the Oklahoma History Center.
The Senate's losing a giant at the end of this year. When Dr. Tom Coburn retires early, his decision is a tremendous loss to the people of Oklahoma, but it was not a surprise to anyone who knows Dr. Coburn or who was paying attention to the clear signals that he sent. Months ago, Dr. Coburn hinted to media that he was considering leaving the Senate early. The full-page story in the Oklahoman and the Tulsa World over a month ago about his possible retirement gave our family plenty of time to pray and to think through a possible run for the Senate. After a great deal of prayer and encouragement, today I am formally announcing my intention to seek the Republican nomination for the United States Senate for Oklahoma. My commitment being in the House of Representatives is to bring conservative solutions to the problems that we face. I really do believe that it's not enough to just complain. We must find a way to address the problems and to solve them. Most of you know that I did not come from a political background. For 22 years, I served students and families in full-time ministry. For the last 13 years of that time, I directed our state's largest youth camp, Falls Creek. That means in many ways I do not believe that the major issues we face as a culture can be solved by Washington, D.C. The strength of our nation has always been our families, our veterans, our churches, our communities, and the hardworking men and women of our nation that actually pay the taxes in our country. But I also believe that there is a role for government. As a conservative and a strong proponent of the constitutional system that we have, I have not written off our nation. I'm convinced that we still have great potential to bring a strong, stable force in a world that's full of turmoil. But we have to solve the economic and fiscal problems. Our economy is stagnant, and many of our government leaders are talking about problems instead of doing the work to actually solve those problems. The status quo of politics is to give a speech and to say that it's done. But that's not how we're going to solve the problems that we face today. It will take long hours of study and real work away from the cameras. I believe that the conservative solutions that can be proposed and that I'll bring can help families from every race, every economic background, from every town in our country. The United States Senate is the most contentious body in our government. Conservative voices have been pushed out of the conversation there in the Senate. At the same time, job growth has slowed, government red tape has increased, and our ability to make choices about our health care, personal finances, and even our own faith has decreased. Our nation can now see the change that President Obama promised. That doesn't have to be America's future. In fact, it must not be America's future. Conservatives have increasingly grown more and more frustrated and caustic when we should be more committed and more focused. The problems we face today and the gridlock in Congress will be solved with a clear set of conservative solutions, a commitment to do the work, and Senate transformation. The president needs to understand that America has lost trust in his ideas and his party's ideas. A year ago, I personally shared with President Obama a passage from a biblical story in 2 Kings, when King Hezekiah led the nation through a tough season, but he set up the nation for total failure after he was gone. I told the president that many in my state believe that he's so focused on the now that he's ignoring the long-term consequences of his decisions. We cannot say, times are tough. I'll make it tougher on my kids to make it easier on me. Americans are not that selfish. We do look at the next generation and the impact that's coming. The federal deficit is killing our economic and job growth. As a member on the Budget Committee, I worked to cut government spending 3 years in a row and still protect our military. We have a long way to go, but deficit spending is finally going down instead of up, and we stopped defense from receiving another major cut again this month. I authored the Taxpayer Right to Know Act to force federal programs to identify their real costs, their staff structure, and the metrics to evaluate each program. Programs that cannot even evaluate their effectiveness cannot continue. They're a waste. and we must stop wasting hard-earned taxpayers' money. At the start of the 2013 session of Congress, I fought and won a change in the rules of the House of Representatives that would stop duplicate programs before they start. The first step to solving the problem of duplicate programs is to stop Congress before they create any more. I fought and won state control of highway construction. Now the majority of highway construction in our state is supervised by Oklahomans, not federal bureaucrats. States really can do things more efficiently if we'll get the federal government out of the way. I helped pave the way for more jobs in Oklahoma by pushing the federal government into increased liquefied natural gas permitting. The private sector can increase job growth if we'll get the federal government out of the way. At the same time, I believe that we have ignored the most vulnerable in our society by allowing Social Security disability to become a nest of fraud and apathetic government oversight. When people scam their way into disability system, they literally take money away from the disabled and the American taxpayer. I've held numerous hearings and investigations, as well as meeting face-to-face with many of the administration to stop the waste. I've also personally worked with the FCC to roll back the expansion of the free cell phone program that has put up pop-up tents and vans covering our state. In fact, the committee I serve on has led the House in all the major scandal investigations, including Operation Fast and Furious, the IRS abuse, Benghazi, and million-dollar federal conferences. In the past year, I've led an effort to streamline the approval process for new prescription drugs through the FDA so terminal patients can have faster access to innovative life-saving drugs in clinical trials. This is one of the many areas where I have real issue with the President's health policies. I believe that the President's health care law is not just bad law, it's bad policy. It's about price controls and redistribution of income, not doctors, nurses, and patients. When you're sick, the priority should be your health, not federal oversight. These are the issues that matter to everyday Oklahomans. More freedom and less hassle from a government that is constitutionally mandated to be out of our lives. In 2010, while I was still a candidate for the United States House, I called Dr. Coburn and asked his advice. I didn't want his political advice. I wanted his counsel on what made him so effective when he entered the House of Representatives as a private citizen walking in for the first time. The advice he gave to me stuck with me through the 3 years that I've been in the House. Dr. Coburn told me that there are two people that make a difference in the House: those in committee leadership and those who actually study. I followed that advice, and I've tried to work hard every day to study, to know the issues, and to know the pathways to solve the problems that we face today. I want you to know, there's nothing more important to me on this earth than my wife and my two daughters. I do not fly away from my family every week to do nothing. When I fly away from my family, I want to know we're getting things done, to do the right thing, the right way. I want to make sure that Oklahoma has a voice and that our solutions get into the national conversation because our solutions work. I really am just one of us. I'm a private citizen. 3 years ago, I'd never been elected for anything, but I'm committed to helping us as a nation. Today, I'm asking for the vote and support of Oklahomans that share my belief that we should do more than just complain. We should work as long as it takes to restore our nation back to her foundation.